available for demonstration today, and how easy it is to actually use and how comfortable it is while you are performing haircuts. First off, your normal shear restricts your hand, and this one allows you to move freely throughout different positions of cutting without hurting your shoulder, your elbow, or your wrist. So compared to a regular shear, the swivel shear allows me to make a cut without forcing my hand into an awkward position. So we've got, you can just easily cut hair without damaging anything in my wrist. And the other shear that I have an awkward position in my wrist. See, it's not a natural movement. Also, the different positions, it's a very natural movement. As to the other one, your conventional shear, it's still forced. You can't, you're raising your shoulder and your elbow more, and you're restricting the natural movement of your wrist. Back in the day, when hairdressing was big in the 30s, 40s, people cut hair like this. And this is where the carpal tunnel came from. There's a strain right there. But now we've evolved. We've learned to cut like this. Well, also with technology, our shears are evolving. But not only will this help your hand in a more natural movement, but it will also help your shoulder, so you're not trying to get all these awkward positions. And when you need to go backwards, you can go very easily, and it doesn't overcompensate. It's a great feel. And it's just a slight turn, but it just naturally goes with your hand, honestly. I actually like the natural movement, and I had swivel before the flex thumb, and I would lose my place all the time, and I would take my thumb out and go back to it, and I felt like I was forever trying to find my spot. And now, it's just, it's a natural movement every time. And the fact that I have been doing hair for almost 10 years, and I'm not quitting anytime soon, so I've gotta think about the comfort of and longevity of the things that I do on a daily basis. Trying to show you guys what I'm doing, but no, I don't have to lift up my arms a lot. Everything is pretty much right there within my motion, and I don't have any crazy like wonky hand positions, just because everything works with how I'm moving.
Ciao a tutte, oggi vi voglio presentare un altro prodotto della linea Balmain. Si parla di un prodotto che serve per allungare i capelli, il nome del prodotto è Hairdress e come dice il nome stesso sono i capelli da indossare. Questo rivoluziona il mondo dell'extension perché fa un allungamento fatto a casa. In pochi minuti si possono ottenere lunghezze strepitose e con risultati incredibili. Vi faccio vedere di che cosa sto parlando. Questo è l'Hairdress, colore New York, sono totalità di capelli naturali, veri, che vengono applicati sui capelli in una maniera semplice in pochi minuti. Procedo all'applicazione. Come prima cosa bisogna dividere la testa in due sezioni. In ugual maniera, in maniera molto semplice, sollevando i capelli verso l'alto e puntandoli con un becco d'oca o un pinzone come vi è più comodo. L'Hairdress è costruito con un filo di nylon che viene sistemato dal vostro parrucchiere nella misura perfetta più indicata alla vostra testa. Va applicato, calzato sulla testa, deve appoggiare al di sopra delle orecchie. Con un pettinacoda vado a far uscire i capelli che si sono incastrati sotto il filo. Scusami. Per essere più tranquilli applichiamo una molletta alla fine della nostra tessitura in modo che il nostro Hairdress sia completamente ancorato e ben fisso. Vado a far uscire l'ultimo pezzo di capelli dall'Hairdress. Vedete come il colore si miscela perfettamente con il nostro capello. Ok? Sciolgo tutti i capelli, spazzolo e vado a unire i capelli della nostra modella Edi con l'Hairdress. In meno di 2 minuti abbiamo aumentato la lunghezza dei capelli di almeno 40 cm.
FreeSalonEducation.com invites you to join us every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for live and interactive classes from your favorite free salon education educators. So grab a mannequin, get set up, and make sure to share your results using the hashtag FreeSalonEducation. FSE Live starts now.
Hey guys, this is Matt Beck from freesaloneducation.com, and we're going to go over some dry hair cutting this morning. We actually, this is a haircut that we started a couple weeks ago. So we went through wet and we cut in the precision graduation throughout the haircut. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the dry detail work in this haircut now. So what I'm going to do is, you could see, if you guys didn't get to see the last class, what we did was we sectioned off sort of a horseshoe looking section around the parietal ridge, across mid-crown, and then back along the parietal ridge. So it was a very symmetrical section throughout the top. So now what you're seeing is that section actually blanketing over the rest of the haircut. So underneath all of these pieces that are hanging down, you can see our precision cut that we did previously. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fine-tune that haircut. We're going to finish it and add just the finishing touches. My personal opinion is I think that you do the wet cut for the precision lines and any weight that you're looking to build within the haircut or weight that you're looking to remove. And then when you go in with the dry cut, that's really where you're putting all of the detail work and the finishing and all of that. So let's just go ahead and get started. I want to go over about 5 different dry cutting techniques that you guys can use in the salon. They're very salon friendly. To make your haircuts even look better. So I'm going to turn the mannequin. Let's see if we can get a good shot of the side here. And I'm going to part it right down the center back, sort of. So really we're opening up that graduation that we cut in before. Now what I want you guys to really focus on when you cut a graduation is not to worry so much about this baseline. I think a lot of people think that they need to get that line perfect. Definitely you want it to be balanced, but it doesn't have to be a perfect straight line to begin with, because as soon as you blow dry the hair is going to lift and move and bend, and you're going to have uneven lines anyways. So what we want to do is, in the dry detail part of it, we're going to take our scissor and we're going to go through and we're going to work that line using the tip of our scissor to help to really create a nice straight line that's going to really be easy for your guests to recreate at home, so that when they go to blow dry their hair, that line just falls into place. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to take the tip and just work right along that line. And the reason we're using the tip and not the whole blade is as soon as I go in here and I try to cut a lot of hair at once, especially dry hair, the hair is going to push away. So we're going to get a curved line, and then you're going to go in and cut more, and that's when we end up with shorter hair than we wanted. So just go in with the tip of the scissor and work that line in. And the key here is once you start to see that line kind of forming, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to step back and take a look at it. And then I'm going to have my guest, typically, I'll have them shake their head back and forth just to see if that line stays in place. And if you see some hair move out of place, then you just recomb, no tension, and cut into it some more. That way, once you finally get it so they can shake their head and move around, and the hair stays in place, you know that when they go to blow dry their hair, they're going to have a lot more success with it. And that line's going to look great all the time. And that line is really what's going to set you apart in your town or wherever you are with the haircuts that you're doing. Because I know when I look at haircuts in the grocery store or anywhere that I'm at, I'm looking for those nice strong lines, and I'm really sizing up the competition that way. So when somebody's, walking around with your haircut, you want them to have those really nice looking lines within it. So the other thing that I'm going to do is I want to go through, we'll just finish up with the point cutting through here real quick. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Turn this a little bit. Again, we're live, guys, so if you have any questions, please post them in the comments on YouTube, and we can hopefully answer them for you before we're done.
Hey, Matt, we actually have a quick question.
Yeah.
Jose Rivera said, hey, Matt, what would you do if your client left your salon like this? Or what would happen if your client left the salon like this? I'm assuming just unfinished, not, texturizing and going through dry.
I mean, I wouldn't let the client leave like this. So I'm not really sure if I understand.
That's why I asked to clarify the question.
Okay.
He also said, what shears are you using? Hey, Matt, what are those shears? We all know those shears here, though.
So you obviously love Mizutani scissors. And these are the Free Salon Education version that we put out, the limited edition. So you can't get them right now, but we have a new one coming out soon. So hopefully you guys, you'll get to pick that up when it comes out.
I got a little dry cutting question for you.
Okay.
Just like I see you work in the salon, and I see this is how you prep your guests, for the dry cutting with, perfectly smoothed and all that. But what happens when you've got the guests that have a natural texture to their hair and wear that natural texture to their hair? Would you still go through and create this level of smoothness and straight before you do the finishing, like the dry cutting work?
If I had a guest with textured hair, like a curly wave, and they were going to wear it like that all the time, I would not smooth it out. I would dry it in their natural texture.
So just diffuse?
And do the same thing, yeah. So I would really want that hair. You want the hair to live as natural as possible. Even when I smooth this out, I'm not smoothing it and forcing the hair to really do anything it doesn't want to do. What I'm doing is I'm blow drying it in the natural pattern that the hair falls. So even when I iron it, I'm ironing it to the bend of the head so that it's really working as natural as possible. Because you don't want the hair to, like, I could force the hair to do anything I wanted, but then as soon as they try to blow dry it at home, it's going to bounce all over the place, and you're not going to get the same effect. It's not going to look as good. So you really don't want to force the hair to do anything it doesn't want to. So I'm going through the sides doing the same thing. I'm just combing that top longer hair away and working around the baseline first. You could do this at the end as well if you want to, but I really like to see kind of the shape start to form on the bottom. So again, I'm just using the tip, and you could see, like, some of this stuff, you could see how the line, get that out of the way. You can see how the line isn't perfect right now. So there's little bumps and gaps in it. That has to do with how your finger angle is, your elevation, all of that stuff goes into play with creating that, line there. And it's really hard to hold something with tension, and that's really what this is all about. Is when you go in with the dry cut, I'm using no tension, letting it fall in its natural place and cutting it. You couldn't really do that wet because you can't go through wet and use the point of your scissor as easy. And wet hair is obviously not natural, so that it's going to have more weight to it. It's going to be clumped together more. So this is really the hair at its truest most natural state. So when I get this combed down, then I can really see what that line looks like, and I can go through and define it. Now I'm not changing the haircut. I'm just defining the line that we created previously in the wet cut.
Now, Matt, what would you do if their person had a cowlick in the back that was going in different angles?
So if we're working with a cowlick, I think personally you have to share with the guest how to make that go away. There's a lot of techniques involved with either blow drying with a comb or using a tighter brush. We have the vest brush, which is a fantastic brush with more tension. So really coaching that guest and showing them how to make that cowlick go away is your best bet. I don't think, but when you look at it from a hair cutting standpoint, you just want to use a lot less tension, and you don't want to try to stretch a cowlick out of its where it wants to go in the first place. So it's really the less tension you use in a cowlick area, the better for me personally. So that would be my two things. I would cut it with less tension, and then I would teach them to flat wrap, blow dry, kind of work that cowlick out because it's not that difficult, and then go in and do some dry cutting on it to get really finalize what you want that look to be. So that would be my few suggestions on that.
Now, with a haircut like this, Matt,
Yeah.
would you use maybe like the wider teeth of a comb to just hold a little bit of tension on that hair if you did have a crazy cowlick?
Yeah, you can. I mean, the comb that I'm using right now has really wide teeth on it. So my suggestion would be definitely go with a comb with wider teeth.
Now, we got a lot of people chatting about texture now that it's been brought up, because I do love this haircut, and I do think that there are variations for any texture.
Yeah.
If you would just, I don't know, hit on maybe a little bit of what you would do different. People are asking about whether it's ethnic hair or just a little bit of wave or curly, because I think you could still achieve a version of this haircut on any texture of hair. There's just probably do things a little differently.
Yeah, I mean, I do this haircut on texture hair as well. The biggest difference, this is the greatest haircut for texture because, first off, you're working the whole bottom of the haircut with precision and deciding how much weight you want to keep. So maybe if you wanted to build up more weight and put it on the top, you could. So let's look at this was a curly head of hair. When you're holding it in your fingers, obviously if I want to build the weight out here, then my finger angle is going to change a bit. And if I want to raise that weight and push it towards the top, then my finger angle will shift up a bit. So, and that will remove more weight from the bottom and push the weight toward the top. Really, with hair cutting, what you're doing is if you remove weight from one place, it doesn't just go away, it's being shifted to somewhere else. So when you're looking at curly hair, it's just an extreme version of that. So I know that people do a lot of straight cutting, and a lot of mannequins come straight, so it's just kind of the way that it works. But hair cutting in general is all the same. It's just there's extreme sides to both. So you could have somebody with really fine straight hair. You could have somebody with really coarse curly hair. You're still going to do the same type of haircut. You're just going to make adjustments to it. So if they had really curly hair, I would still section out that whole top section. So we would have all of this hanging down. I would diffuse her and get it curly the way that I want it to. Maybe even take a wand iron to it depending on the texture. And then I would go in and dry cut this longer pieces to form into the rest of the haircut, because dry hair cutting on curly hair works really, really well. So I think that your goal is to make sure that in the wet cut you're taking out the amount of weight that you want, and that's all based on finger angle or the angle of the haircut. So just really adjust yourself and know that the curly hair is going to expand and grow, and change your finger angle that way. Most people don't want to really build out a curly shape this way. When I'm cutting hair, I'm looking at it like, so if I'm working on the base and my finger angle is here, I see all of that hair. I see this as a long line that goes out to here. So all of that weight is going to start to stack on top of itself and build out here. If I change my finger angle up here, then all this weight within here is going to be removed in this section, and it's going to be shoved to the top of the head. So curly hair is great, and personally, it's one of my favorite things because of the fact that you get to see the shape happen so much. With straight hair, you got to really work it to see a shape. But with curly hair, you can expand it really well. So have fun with curly hair, and don't be afraid to do the same type of techniques. Just make sure you're focused on your elevation and your angle when you're cutting it.